And we're live.
Let's get it.
Yo, g'day
Okay.
Hyena. How are you, mate? Good to see you.
Hyena, g'day.
Who else we got in here?
Is everything
Holler if you're in the chat. If not,
g'day, fellas. Oh, thank you for the
then you
follow.
won't be hollering. Who did?
Oh, holla. There you go.
One of my long-time online friends, Oldsmobile. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.
Hey.
Here's one.
Oh. Is that
G'day,
just come through now, did it?
Yeah,
Pav, or what?
just came through.
Oldsmobile. Welcome.
Excellent.
Right.
Well, guys, I think we're going to be basically kicking this one straight in the teeth.
Absolutely. Get ready.
Lots of real cool stuff to talk
around.
about, though.
Oh, I need
Absolutely. And some not so cool stuff.
Some not so cool stuff.
I need to load up the intro song.
Remember my first production gig?
All right. We're not live yet. Okay.
He's just gone and done it.
All right. Y'all ready to go live?
Done it.
Ready? Okay. Countdown starts now.
G'day and welcome to Oceanic Gaming Radio, your one-stop shop for all things gaming, jaming. My name's Capo, El Capitano, Captain Perth. You can call me Liam, whatever you like. I'm one of the co-hosts here in this fine establishment. And alongside me is my dear friend, Grizzly Gaming 86.
Hello,
How are
my
you,
good friends. Stay a while and listen. I'm good, Cap. What about yourself, mate? You going well?
Yeah, doing excellently, mate. I'm sure the listeners at home will be writing in angrily, asking where the other 2 seconds of our intro song was. And all I can say is Pav fucked it.
Hey, you know what? I will give this to Pav. We have nailed like the last 5. The first 3 were a little bit scratchy, but the last 5 nailed it, Pav.
Yeah, you can't be perfect, mate. And I think this is just evidence of that in life. You know?
I think I've proved well and truly I'm not perfect. Okay.
I think we all have at this stage. But Grizzo, what's been happening, mate? What's your weekend look? What did it look like? Tell me what's been happening.
All right. Well, I did mention to you off stream that I had some news that literally has come up in the last half an hour. So I'm going to drop it on you right now. I'm officially in isolation, mate.
You got COVID.
I don't have. Well, I could have COVID. I don't know yet. So
have you done a rat?
I've done a rat and I'm negative on the rat.
Dirty rat.
But essentially, we were with someone in very close proximity for a long period of time on Friday night that has tested positive, and I am considered a close contact, so I'm gone into 7 days lockdown. So no going to work for you tomorrow, Grizzly Gaming 86. I'll be staying at home with the kids and the wife and bunkering down. So
will you do a bit of a work from home sit show, or?
Yeah, I need to figure out how to get my stuff. Either I'm going to convince someone to drop it down at the front of my house, or they're going to pay a courier to drop it down. Yeah, so I think tomorrow will be a no work day, and I'll probably maybe just play some Elden Ring. And
oh God,
relax.
You lucky bastard! You lucky bastard! Oh well, hopefully you're all good, dude. Like, I suppose it's one of those things where it's circulating in the community now, and you're probably going to get it. So
that's right.
Yeah.
One of those things, we'll see how we go, man. I think it takes a good couple of days for the symptoms to come on, so I'll be monitoring that pretty quick. I got a bunch of rats, so just going to be, doing those every morning.
Wait, so did you say that you used a rat yet?
Yeah, I've done. I did a rat on the weekend. I actually did a PCR on the weekend, dude. I isolated myself because we've had a couple of confirmed cases in at work as well. So I've actually just been literally like, Neo from Matrix when he's just dodging the bullets. That's kind of been me so far, Cap. So far.
I actually took one this weekend as well. I felt a bit garbo on Sunday. And I was like, oh, man, I don't know. Maybe I should take a rat test. And it came back negative. So what essentially happened is what happened to you last week was I had a 3-day hangover, and the second day was just like brutal. We went down and had a heap of beers at this boutique beer place down the road from me, which was really good.
Nice.
had a smash burger and a heap of beers, and then
Oh, I know the place you're talking about. Yeah,
wasn't feeling too good the next day. Let's just say that. Yeah, a few too many back-end beers, but yeah. So, well, Grizzo, fingers crossed, mate. I'm sure that you've put enough points into Constitution, and I'm sure you'll be fine.
What is it? The one? What? There's a couple. Okay, maybe this is a conversation for another time. But there's fucking too many stats in Elden Ring, Cap. I don't know what I'm mitigating against. There's like focus and fucking all these other ones that do.
Yeah, and there's so much overlap as well. As like sometimes you put it up, like put one particular stat up, and then it puts something up, and then next time it puts something a little bit different up, and I'm like, wait, what is freaking going on?
Anyway, I'm going to go change my artifacts around a bit and figure out the best ones to keep COVID away from me, mate. Basically, is what I'm getting at.
Absolutely, mate. I've got a few talismans you can borrow, mate. I'm sure
that'll talismans. Help. Yeah.
But speaking about Elden Ring, mate, patch notes 1.03, my good friend, a brand new patch available right now. Came out about last Friday or Thursday, I believe.
The 17th, whatever day that was.
I think that would have been last Thursday. It was last Thursday, which is probably Friday for us, maybe. I don't know. Regardless, a big heap of changes. In fact, tell you what, Grizz, I played Dark Souls 3 when it first came out. Also did the same with Bloodborne. And this is the biggest single patch drop I've seen in Souls history. I think.
Absolutely, mate. Agree with you there. Yeah,
huge, massive. So they've done a shitload of changes, and I'm sure it's probably got something to do with the fact that they've sold 12 million copies of this game, which we'll talk about later. But I think, a lot of balance changes, a lot of bug fixes, and some other bits and pieces. So just to sort of give you guys a bit of a rough idea of what's been going on in the lands betwixt in Elden Ring, major changes in the latest update. So they've done a bunch of stuff. So they break it down into three major sort of areas. Additional elements added. Okay, so added a function to record an icon and name of NPC on the map when you encounter that NPC. Now, I know, Grizzo, you're not fucking you're not stoked about this one,
Well, I've been posting on my Twitter about this, I reckon I've posted about this about 4 times. And like, just to give you context for those of you that are listening. So there's been a bunch of memes. We've talked about them here on this particular channel, but essentially like Ubisoft in the game where your HUD becomes populated with crap and your map has like markers on it and quest markers and everything else. So just for the context, Elden Ring so far has done none of that, to the point of where it's almost like you've got a paper map, Cap, isn't it? You find a paper map and that's what it is.
It reminds me of those old games back in the olden days on SNES and stuff, and like the maps and stuff would have been super bare bones, and you would have remember you would get little booklets with your games, and you'd have like notes that you could write in the back of the booklet. It's shit like that, and it kind of it enlivens this nostalgic kind of sense of exploration. But anyways, enough about that. Continue on with
so what they've done here, and I have looked into this a little bit more. So I was kind of wrong. I was under the impression that FromSoft were going to then mark every NPC character on the map. It turns out that they are marked when you're in a proximity of them. But I still don't think this is quite nailed, Cap, because I got into a new area a couple of nights ago and I sat at a resting spot and I hadn't been further down the track at all yet. The game was telling me there was an NPC up there, telling me the exact name of the NPC. And I was just kind of like, well, like I wanted to go and explore and find that. And maybe if I didn't find that NPC going through that time and I was going back through there and I found them a second time, then I'd be like, wow, I can't believe I missed that. I just felt like it's kind of like, I just hope that this isn't a sign of hand-holdy things to come, or I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just one of
I don't know. So apparently this functionality was available in the closed network test. So obviously it was intended, but there seems like there's been a bunch of things that didn't get released correctly on release day for Elden Ring, including a bunch of NPCs and different phasing with quests. So this particular map icon NPC thing, it was supposed to be shipped, but wasn't. Now, I definitely agree with you to some extent. I I do think that a game the size of Elden Ring, which I mean, the game is astronomically huge, for someone like me who just wants to completionist the whole fucking thing, that is such a small little thing to help me achieve that in one playthrough, because I just can't see myself getting another 100% a playthrough in this game ever again. I mean, I'm already at over 100 hours, and I mean, I don't have another 100 hours to pull out of my ass to play this game again. So a little bit of help would be great, but I definitely agree with you. I think the issue is obviously just like from a developer, what I would imagine how this works is if you're in the vicinity of that NPC and they get loaded, their model gets loaded, even if you don't directly see that character, I'm guessing that's how they trigger the map icon to get updated. Now the issue with that is, like you said, you kind of feel like you're being gypped a little bit because you kind of want to explore that yourself. So I'm surprised they didn't like set it so when you interact with them, whether it be, okay, so for example, it might be a nice NPC, talk to them, add the marker. Awesome. I've physically spoken to this person, right? So I know they're there. Or, you know, if it's a bad NPC, you know, okay, just mark it when they come into combat with me. I don't know. It does seem a little bit lazy. I'm sure there's probably some development reason as to why they've done it this way. It would probably be a gigantic pain in the ass for every single NPC to have its own trigger for how it gets the map updated. But and it would just be easier if as soon as they get loaded, whack them on the map. Anyways, it's kind of shit. Kind of good for some people. It depends on who you're asking.
I can kind of see the benefits because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I forget where my NPCs are. And like the only way for you to know where the NPCs are, because you can mark them on the map, you would literally need to go to a notepad and you would need to write shit down and have a list of like the areas, I don't know, screenshots and stuff. And so I can see the advantage of having the NPCs named once you've been in the area. But I think you're right in that maybe the implementation could have been thought about a little bit more. Well, maybe they'll patch it in times to come after they see Grizzly Gaming.
I'm sure that they will lovingly change this game around a little bit with time. I mean, again, they sold 12 million copies. There's no reason why they couldn't put an extra little bit of time into. I mean, hey, there's obviously going to be DLC content for this game in the future.
Baby.
I mean, there's already things in the game that you probably have come across that you've been like, "What the fuck do you do here?" And apparently, it's probably going to be in the future. So, anyways, moving along, trying to get through this. This patch note, they've added a bunch of NPCs and fixed a few phases. So some of the NPCs weren't phasing into the next parts of their quests. And it's just obviously some issue with flags in the game not flicking over or whatever. So now they should actually continue their quest lines, and it has worked. So for example, I noticed in my playthrough that I'd kind of gotten to a point where I was like, how do I make this quest go forward? And then post patch, I was able to progress some of these quests along. Again, I won't say too much because I don't want to really, spoil anything. But So,
and Dark Souls is interesting like that, Cap, because particularly with quest phases, because the NPCs sometimes literally just disappear and will show up somewhere else, and they will give you no indication of where they're supposed to be or where they should be. Sometimes it's left for you to kind of piece that together. So that's cool.
I think the cool thing about that is, Grizz, and like it's probably going to be fucked for you because you pay no attention to story whatsoever. But generally, if they give you items or like they talk about things, or you like, there's generally going to be some kind of little hint as to where they should be.
All right.
And it might be as small as like, oh, there was a corpse that they were next to, and it dropped an item that had this thing, and the description said something about this area, and then you go there, and that's where they are next. It's shit like that From Software does, and if you don't do that kind of shit, you have no fucking idea.
Just talking on that note, Cap, I will try to say this as least spoilery as I can, but I did walk around with a particular debuff for around about 5 or 6 days after doing one particular thing in Round Table Hold without knowing that I could turn it off. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, is that something? Does an NPC do it or something?
Yeah, NPC does it. She reduces your health pool for something else. Yeah. Okay. I've actually so I've had access to that.
I've not used it. In fact, I've wrapped up that storyline.
Have you? There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I think I'm getting there. I'm doing bits and pieces. Yeah.
I tell you what, some of the storylines in this game are fucking awesome. Like I've finished a couple so far. So like some of the NPCs have sort of they're like what they've gone through has come to fruition. And I tell you what, like just some of the way, and I can see where things would change along the way depending on what you do. And I'm so excited to just go back out and read about what can change based on how you approach certain NPCs with this game, because it's just. Again, it's just so big. It is huge. It is unbelievable. But yeah,
well,
anyways,
when you think of it on the scale of in comparison to Dark Souls 3, which is obviously smaller scale, I still haven't done all the NPC interactions in that because some of them are so fucking involved. Like you really need to talk to this person, go here and do this, and then look down a well and there's a guy down there you got to talk to, and it's just like stupid shit that you would never figure out.
There's a couple like that in Elden Ring, which doesn't bother me too much. Some people probably would get annoyed with it, I think, mostly just because, like, I suppose it comes down to, I don't know if you feel this way, Grizz, but like it comes down to where you are in your life. Like if this was, say, 10 years ago and I had, 18 hours a day just to dedicate to video games again, dude, I wouldn't give a shit. But these days, every hour is so precious, and it's just like when I'm like I get to the point where sometimes I'm like, oh, do I just Google what I need to do next? Because I really can't be fucked spending an hour trying to figure out what to do here.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
And sometimes I give in.
Well, I have Googled a couple of things. Like,
I've had to, dude. There's been a couple of times where I've just been like, it's not worth me spending an hour going back through lore and trying to figure out what the hell's going on here, or going back to old areas and rechecking where people were, or it's just not worth my time. So
we are obviously getting well off track here.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
One thing that I do want to say is I am trying to push Cap to commit to doing a whole episode dedicated to Elden Ring lore. And if that's something that you'd like to hear, let us know, because I'm pretty keen. I reckon it would be great to have.
Tweet at us or something.
Tweet at us. Put it in the Discord.
Put something together. Look, I mean, an episode like that is going to be quite the undertaking. I'm going to be honest with you. I think, there'll be quite a lot of research required. So it might be something we can work on for a little while once we get a full playthrough going, etc. But but so definitely, if it sounds like something you'd like, absolutely, hit us up in our socials. Anyways, moving along. So they've added some more summonable NPCs, increased the number of patterns of objects players can imitate when using Mimic's Veil. That's a special little item that you can do some cool shit with. Added night background music for some open field areas.
The background music's fucking great, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Music in general. Music score is fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, it's just beautiful. Like when you're running through some of the open world areas and you've just got this really cool orchestral shit going on in the background. Oh, chef's kiss.
Does it beat Dark Souls 2 Majula's theme, Cap, the music, man?
No, absolutely fucking not. That is by far one of the most weirdest fucking tunes of all time, but God, it is catchy. God, I love it. If you haven't listened to it, go and listen to the Majula, it's spelled Majula, Dark Souls 2 theme.
It's about the only good thing in Dark Souls 2, let's be honest.
Yeah, look, it's not the greatest game of all time. It's okay. I'll tell you what, though, that theme song I thought was shit when I walked first. I was just like, dude, this song sucks. And by the time I was in there, back in there about the 100th time, I'm like, yeah, fucking break it down. Anyways, so back to the Elden Ring talk. A heap of bug fixes. I won't really go into those, but a lot of different things, especially big game-breaking stuff with, like, I don't know if you saw those, like, videos of people on the torrent, the horse, and then, like, they'd close, they go into the menu and then close the menu, and then the horse is gone, and they just, like, sit there as if they're on the horse, and then they just suddenly die.
So that's fixed, is it? Do they fix that, is that?
I believe that's been remedied to some degree. Whether it's fully fixed, well, we shall see. Now, probably some of the most interesting things are the actual balance changes. So they've done a bunch of bits and pieces. I'm just going to sort of go over ones that I think have been quite interesting. Now, one particular one was their approach to shields. So they've increased their effectiveness. So I believe...
the fuck, Cap? I don't want to talk to you about this because from what you're telling me, shields are broken as shit.
Well, okay, so I don't think they're broken as shit. I think that they've basically made it so you can hide behind them a bit better, but you need to still come out from behind the shield. So what I've felt made the shields broken as shit was there's a particular Ash of War, which is like a special ability for these particular items. Now, the one was called Barricade or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, when you use it, your shield started glowing white, and then whenever enemies hit your shield, they'd bounce off and they'd kind of flinch, and you'd had heaps of time to follow up and smack things. So what I was doing is I was using that in some boss battles, and it was trivializing them so badly.
Are you still using that? You're still using Barricade and
well,
shield?
Here's the thing, right? So I'm still using shield because that's just my playthrough I'm doing. Barricade's been changed, so it uses more mana essentially,
Right.
and it it also lasts for a lot less longer. So you've got to use it a bit more tactically.
So
which is good.
Was the patch essentially a nerf to shields then because of that change, Cap?
I would argue it's a nerf to a playstyle, but I wouldn't argue it as a nerf to shields. Overall, shields' effectiveness has increased, which I believe is how much stamina is removed on a hit. So when you block with your shield, you lose stamina. And then I think the amount of like decay of stamina has been addressed. So anyways, I think overall not really. I think shields are just overall better, really, which is good for me in my current playthrough. Moving along, increase the damage of all offensive cracked pot items, which I am fucking big fan of, dude, because I actually really like the way they've implemented pots in this game. So previously, like, you'd have to go and buy like pots, which are like grenades you'd throw. Now with Elden Ring, you can craft them and do all that kind of stuff. Now they're pretty good, like depending on what you do. Like I've found a few enemies that have been just like insanely difficult to deal with, and then I've just figured out what they're weak to, and then just like belted them with these pots. And the best thing is you can just keep crafting them if you've got enough ingredients. You just you can really cheese some bosses.
Mate, I have not thrown a single pot.
Dude, it's so worth it. Some like you will probably. I'm just trying to think if you've been to where I'm thinking of. Oh, you probably would have. There's a couple of the big balls that chase you.
Oh yeah, fuck those things, mate.
Dude,
you get squashed by those
lightning pots. They just annihilate them. Absolutely
really?
annihilate them. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even know
you throw those, them, and it like you can. I've killed every single one I've come across with lightning pots. No way. So like what you do is you chuck the pot, and it takes a serious chunk of health off them, because if you fight them with weapons, it does nothing. And so you chuck these things. Lightning pots takes a decent chunk of health off, and they also flinch, so they just don't come towards you. They don't get a chance to retaliate.
Cap, do the pots scale with your stats, or do they have flat stats?
I don't know. I don't think so.
So they've just increased the effectiveness of the pots.
Maybe they do a little bit. Maybe there must be something. I don't know. Maybe not. I would have thought there must be some kind of scaling, because otherwise you get to a point in the game where the damage just would be like nothing.
Shit, yeah.
Useless for some enemies. So it must scale somehow. The one thing I haven't used, Grizz, that they are talking about is perfumes. Have you used any perfumes yet?
I've found some. I have not used any perfumes. No.
Yeah. So they've increased the effective duration of some of them. They've increased a bunch of healing that you get from certain items related to your horse. I'm guessing people just weren't using them, and they were just using their flask instead.
I got raisins that I can give to my horse that I still will never use. I've got like 11 charges on the old flask. Just top them up, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the exact same. I've never used those raisins. So they've done. I've never come across a time where I've actually needed to use those raisins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they're kind of useless, but anyways, moving along, they've done a bunch of changes to sorceries. Now, increased damage for sorceries, decreased FP, which is your mana pool consumption for a bunch of different sorceries as well, and also increased some projectile speeds for some of the sorceries.
So I thought I'd chime in on these, Cap. I'm actually using some of the sorceries that got buffed. On these, they are. Oh, where am I looking? some of the glintstone ones. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head,
Yeah.
but there's one big AOE one that reduced FP and more damage, and yeah, it's good. It's really good, mate. You get a big group of rats or a big group of blokes, and it's very, very, very good.
Yeah, which is it's interesting because I was chatting to a mate about this, and I was like, "Oh, did you see sorceries got buffed?" And he was like, "Well, not really, because the best like sorceries are not even in this list. So they're kind of just the same." And I was like, "Oh, okay, interesting." So they've obviously looked for the sorceries people weren't actually actively using and tried to sort of get them into the mix a little bit.
Here's the thing with like, I feel like Elden Ring, you can always min or max stuff, right? You know, your speedrunners are going to be using pretty much all the same shit, probably.
Yeah.
But it is fun because there is so many different spells you can use for different situations, and I'm sure like if you don't min max it that much and you kind of just play what you got.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I think especially like Elden Ring, there has not been anywhere near this many spells in a Souls game ever. Like, it's just nuts how many freaking spells are in this damn game. Even like, because I mean, that's just sorceries. There's still incantations, which are like the holy versions of spells as well, which are a complete other kettle of fish, which I don't think have been touched much at all in this balance patch. So maybe that's coming. But
all the clips you see, and still the clips that I see, are all sorcery based ones, one-shotting bosses and doing silly things with them.
Yeah, so anyways, that's the sorcery stuff. They've also changed a shitload of stuff to do with the Ashes of War, which again is your special abilities on weapons and stuff. Now, probably the most interesting one, the one I believe is the most interesting one, is altering a Ash of War called Hoarfrost Stomp. And this was being used by speedrunners quite liberally to do a lot of damage to bosses. And I haven't seen any any footage of them using it because I've been avoiding spoilers. But I believe like the idea of it is you just like slam your foot on the ground, a big AoE frost thing comes out. You can kind of stun lock things with it and also deal a shitload of damage, or could have.
So, Cap, Dark Souls 3, Lady Frida Phase 2.
Yeah.
It is that animation with the frost that she spits out. Yeah.
Okay.
It is pretty much identical to that animation. And just to add context to what you're saying, yes, Distortion, who has the current world record of 28 minutes for Elden Ring, basically just ran this the whole game. And
what happens now, Grizz? Now that they've had this massive balance patch, like what do they do now? Do they just ignore those ones?
Well, this is the thing, right? Like, when you were doing your Dark Souls 1 speedruns, were you playing the current version of the game?
Yes.
Okay, well, there's also, you know how there's different categories for speedruns. Apparently, they're retaining the original Elden Ring leaderboard for whatever that patch might be.
Okay.
So if you still wanted to go and run this or other ones, you could still go run Hoarfrost Stomp. There's mods.
So there must be a way you can roll the patches back.
Yeah, you can roll patches back in this kind of stuff. But man, there's a couple of other things that got changed, and you'll get there. But basically, the speed run that was, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind, Cap, that the development team was watching those speed runs coming up.
Absolutely, dude.
Everything that they were doing in there, from the skips to the exact weapons that they're using and the Ash of War that they're using, all kind of like nerfed.
Yeah, I mean, they super cheese the game. Another one is, so you have these summons you can pull in during the game. You basically find all these different spells that you can summon these things to help you. One of them was a mimic that literally just mimicked your character, like its moveset, everything. And that thing was just an absolute tank of a creature, and it would just annihilate bosses. You could just release it into the wild, into the boss room. It would go and annihilate them, and you'd just be like behind the boss going, like trying to help.
There was footage of a bloke, so more context on this, but it uses, if you have whatever spells you have equipped, it uses whatever trinkets you have equipped, it uses whatever weapons you have equipped, it uses. And there was footage of a guy that literally walks into the end boss in the game, sits down, summons his summon, and then he's just sitting there drinking a cup of tea. This fucking thing is just like doing all the work.
Oh man, I mean, I've got to be honest. I actually think the summons, I think they're a bit like hectic to have in a game like this, because I really feel like they decrease the skill level quite a lot, which again, we've had this discussion before. Whatever, like, it's in the game and that's, you use it, right? But I found the fact that they included summons in this game very interesting personally, because I always just felt like they did whatever they could to make the game less easy, I guess. But
accessible.
Some of these summons are ridiculous. Like, they are insane.
Exactly.
Absolutely insane.
Do you want to hear my opinion on it, Cap? I think the summons are there to serve the purpose of what online summons are for people playing offline.
Yeah, it's actually probably a good point, because a lot of people could just summon another person and be like, "Hey, can you kill this boss for me?" And they're like, "Yep, no worries, bang bang, all right, see ya, thank you."
They had that in Dark Souls 3, and not everyone plays online. I don't have. I got PlayStation 5. I don't have PS Plus, and maybe I will later down the track to do PvP. But if I was stuck on a boss. Well, if I was doing a non-summoning playthrough and I got to the end, and I'd be like, "Fuck, what do I do?" Maybe pull the ashes out and give it a crack. I don't know.
Absolutely. There's been a couple of times I've pulled the ashes out just because I've been like, I am not gonna belt my head against this brick wall for like 3 hours. I just can't be bothered. I want to keep progressing, and I'm sure that I'll probably come back and do it without it at some point. But anyways, moving along. Also, another one that they did, Grizzo, was they decreased the weapon skill of the special weapon called the Sword of Night and Flame. Now, this particular sword was super fucking broken. And people were like, you can get the sword like super early into the game as well, and people were running it as like a broken build, like get through Elden Ring real quick, clickbait build on YouTube basically. And I even had people, like, I've got a couple of group chats. One of them has a bunch of guys in there, 2 guys who've never played Souls before and just pretty much don't really want to, but obviously, because of the popularity of Elden Ring, they've been interested in getting into it. My good friend Cam was like, "Oh, I've just Googled like what the most broken build is," and showed me it. I'm like, "What is this? How is this? This is ridiculous." Level 20, and he's like one-shotting shit. Like, it's ridiculous. So that has been.
Is that the one that just like cascades flame down a row? Is that the one?
No, he does like you have this sword, and you basically go between these 2 different stances, and one stance, like, you swing this big flame whip around you that just radiates out from your character, and the next one is you point your sword and it does like this big like glintstone blue beam at the enemy, and it is ridiculous. It's insane.
So this got nerfed pretty hard. Cap, did it?
That got nerfed quite badly, I believe, to the point where. And I tell you what, the best part about this patch update is seeing all the real sad comments like, "Guys, you've broken Elden Ring. How am I going to play this game?" It's so funny.
I had a question here, Cap, and it was posed at you, but I'm going to answer it for myself first. And it was, has these patch notes impacted your playthrough at all? I thought when these patch notes first popped up that my Moon Veil was fucked, because I feel like it's quite broken. Like, it breaks poise really well, better than any other weapon.
Give us an idea of what Moon Veil does for those who don't know.
Okay, so the Moon Veil is an int dex scaling weapon, and its beauty is in its weapon art. And essentially on the heavy, it basically does 2 heavy attacks, because it does your own heavy attack, but it also releases a bolt of energy, which is also heavy. And what that means is when you're trying to burst someone's poise down, so they're stunned, and then follow up with a Riptos, you're getting 2 heavy attacks for the price of 1 swipe. It's also very quick to motion that off, and it's got a really good movement, and it attacks in range, like way in front of you. So it's quite broken. I expected there to be a definite.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I saw these patch notes, I Control F'd to see if I could find Moonveil, and when I couldn't see it, I was just like, "What the actual fuck? How can you nerf the Sword of Night and Flame and not touch Moonveil?" Couldn't believe it. But I mean, I don't use it, so it doesn't really bother me. And I also don't do PvP, so again, doesn't bother me. But there's so many people complaining about Moonveil in PvP and stuff, because it is Hectic. But yeah, I don't know. It's
Did this impact you at all, Cap? Did the patch notes impact you at all, apart from the
maybe
quest
a little
line
bit.
stuff?
Probably just the shield stuff with having to be a little bit more tactical with using barricade. But I mean, to be honest, I'm not really using barricade shield anymore anyway. So nah, not really. I don't think at all. Yeah, apart from the NPCs sort of being kind of fixed. Yeah, no, not really. I suppose not you either, I guess, based on that comment.
No, I don't think so. I haven't got it into the late game. I think some of the sorceries that potentially I could have been using late game got nerfed, but I didn't get to those yet. So
yeah,
I'm kind of filling my way through it. It's kind of weird, my playstyle at the moment, because I have a shitload of intelligence, but I'm actually not finding myself using magic at all. I just don't.
Yeah.
I would much rather walk up and hit someone with my sword than magic.
I'm definitely the same. I haven't used sorcery at all. I think what I'll probably do is I'm building a new PC soon, probably end of this month, and what I'm probably going to do is buy Elden Ring for my new PC and then do a sorcery build, and I'm just going to crank the shit out of it on high GPU.
Dude, I just want to do the. I want to do the dragon spells, man. I want to do that. Shit.
Yeah. I'm thinking like pump faith and then do all those cool spells and just be an absolute mad dog. Do you know what? Okay, this is one gripe with this fucking game that really pisses me off is you find these fucking awesome swords. Like, you know.
Oh my God, I got so many awesome swords.
A giant couldn't pick this fucking sword up and you need a fucking intelligence of like 30 and you're just like, it makes no sense. Why do I need 30 intelligence to carry this giant brick? Literally a freaking brick.
You got to be smart to use the sword. Hey, Cap, one interesting thing that didn't come out of these patch notes, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. And maybe I'm wrong, but they don't appear to have answers yet for the performance issues on PC. Would that be right?
Okay. Well, that's a good question. I actually haven't done any investigation into this. I would have thought if they had done significant changes, we would have noticed it. Just in our usual day-to-day kind of flicking through Reddit and stuff like that. So I'd imagine no, they haven't really touched much, which I'm guessing it'll be something that gets kind of slowly implemented over time.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a bit more complex issue rather than just scaling a couple of weapons and adding a few NPC things.
Yeah. Well, did we just lose Grizzo? I think we just lost Grizzly Gaming 86, which is fine. We're going to try and get him back in here. In the meantime, I think what I might do is we might start going through the rest of the Elden Ring stuff. Pavlich.
Grizzly's back in 2 seconds.
Sweet. Bring him on in. Welcome back, Grizzly Gaming.
Hello.
I don't know what happened there, mate.
Oh, man. This window just went blink and came up with a little error. I don't know. Something's going on. Maybe I need a new PC too. Jesus.
Yeah, you can buy my old one. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds good, mate.
Now, Grizz, I was just saying, I think we normally do a quick fire in this podcast hither and go through a bunch of different bits and pieces with just quick news articles. But I figure since we're talking about Elden Ring, we may as well just quickly belt through what's in the quick fire for Elden Ring. Because we have a fucking Elden Ring podcast at this rate. God damn. We might as well just get it out the road. But big one was Elden Ring exploit has been found where hackers they invade your game, which is a thing that can happen in the game. You know, people invade your game, you got to attack them, and it's like a PvP thing. Now, hackers will jump into as an invader, and then what they do is they crash your game, and somehow they crash it, and during the crash, what happens is they corrupt your save file, and so when you open the game, you basically teleport to this particular area and your character just keeps falling over and over again and dying and stuff. So you basically your save file's unrecoverable at that point. So it's something to keep an eye out for. Exactly right.
And this isn't the first time that this has happened in Dark Souls games, right? We talked about this a little bit before Elden Ring came out, because they called off their online servers for Dark Souls 3 and 1 or something, wasn't it, Kat?
Every single Souls game.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to ask you about this. Like, how is it compromised like this? And what's the go?
The interesting thing is I'm actually not entirely sure how this one works. I didn't check out what the dealio was with
it's
this one.
It's a PC only, I believe. PC only exploit from what I have seen.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'll probably have to do a bit more research as to what is
That's
actually causing it. I'd imagine
it's a quick fire.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I would assume that they're changing something with your game. I mean, they have access to certain parts of your game, essentially, as an invader. So somehow they're doing something to basically affect your game as they come in to invade, and then that's the crash is the big one. So it makes me wonder, maybe there's some kind of thing that maybe might be related to that exploit that we talked about for the Souls games, where what was happening was people were invading your game and remotely executing code on your PC. So it might be related to that. So it's probably a similar kind of thing. Not as I mean, it's still bad, but it's probably not as bad as that one, because remotely executing like code on your computer versus the game, two different things, but still bad. So I'm assuming
I've heard that there is a temporary fix if this does happen to you. Apparently, there is time for you to, if you're smashing your map button, you can do a quick teleport to another site of grace.
Okay.
There is enough time to get that off, but still, I mean, how shit is that? Like,
yeah, people just like to ruin other people's fun, which is just so dumb. I mean, there was I don't know if you saw recently, Grizzo, but there was a bloke, can't remember what his name was. He was posting on Twitter, and he is a game hacker essentially, and he hacked Elden Ring, and he, was giving himself like infinite speed and all this other bullshit, and just basically recording it and putting it on Twitter and saying, From Software, you need to ban me. Like, this is what people can do in your game. So it's interesting comparing, I guess, ethical hacking to very unethical hacking and ruining people's saves and just being a complete cock versus, maybe trying to make the thing better.
Also, talking about ethical hacking, I have also noticed that some of the runners, like Gino and a few others, are using hacks to practice bosses. So just basically putting on
that's pretty cool.
Kind of God mode, and just being able to roll through and learn the attacks and everything else, and testing their weapons out, loading in weapons and that kind of thing. So yeah,
interesting.
I mean, I feel like Dark Souls 3, 1, and 2 have always had some kind of modding community that do things like randomizers and other bits and pieces, and messing with game code and stuff to the advantage of the game. But when it comes to sending someone into an infinite death loop, something completely different. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, dude. But yeah, so moving along, Elden Ring has sold 12 million copies in 2 weeks, dude. That is nuts. Dude, what did we pay for Elden Ring?
Like $60, $70, something like that.
12, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's fucking $720 million Australian. That's almost $1 billion fucking dollars, dude.
Yeah.
Well, it's not, but it's approaching the big billion, eh? That's a lot of money, dude. And that's for the cheaper of the copies that I've seen on the marketplace, so
yeah, Returnal was like $120. Why was it? I feel like it was cheaper. It was a little bit cheaper, Elden Ring.
Yeah,
I'm
not too sure why. I don't know what's going on. Like, this is another thing that just shits me off with Sony sometimes, is like their games, for some reason, when a console releases, are so expensive. It's just unbelievable. It's like, why am I paying $110 for this game? And then other games slowly start coming out. The price seems to drop over time. But
so just to put this into perspective as well, Cap. So Dark Souls 3 took 4 years to reach and sell 10 million copies of the game.
So they haven't even sold as much as what Elden Ring has sold.
I think they have now. Right. But it just took them a long time to reach any kind of milestone like that. So.
Right, with you. Yep. So I believe another juxtaposition is, I think Bloodborne only sold between 1 to 2 million copies or something like that. So
is that right? Yeah.
Dang. Well, I can't remember whether that was like historical sales in total, or whether that was over the same amount of time. But no, that 2 million copies since release. There you go.
Captain Perth's favorite Souls game.
Yep, there you go. Can you believe it? So I think, it must have been maybe in the same amount of time they only sold 1 million. But I mean, that's what happens when Bloodborne's was only on PS4 or PlayStation. So I mean, that's obviously going to be a big issue. But yeah, pretty nuts sales figures. 12 million copies is a lot of copies. It's so, see, because I think some people probably go, oh yeah, 12 million, pretty big, dude. That's huge. That is massive. So yeah, huge stuff for the old From Software. I'm sure they're very stoked about that. Now, I think with this in mind, they've come along and announced as well, saying that they've also got a lot of sort of developments they want to put in place for the IP. Now, I can't remember exactly how they worded it, Grizz. Maybe you can, but hang on. They said, we will continue to expand Elden Ring, not only as a game, but using all parts of the IP, such as characters, in various ways. So please look forward to it. So you heard it here first, folks. We're going to have fucking Margit in fucking Super Smash Brothers.
Hey, so Cap, seriously though, does this mean TV shows and things, or what does this mean,
Dude,
mate?
Imagine an Elden Ring TV show. I would fucking crap my tweeds.
Yeah.
I'd do the biggest shit in pant of all time. It'd be massive. I'm so keen for that. But all right, Grizz. I don't even know how they do it because your character doesn't talk. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it would be so creepy and dark, and you would need to have a really good writer to kind of pull that off.
I'm telling you right now, dude, if they turn this into a TV series, it's probably
George R.R. Martin is pretty good at translating media into something watchable, though.
Well, yeah, I don't think he had much to do with the TV show, though. I think it was his story, and then someone else turned it into something. So they would need to have some amazing talent on this thing to turn it into not the big shit, because I'd be worried that they'd be fucking it up big time.
Well, what other media could they have, Cap? When they say other IPs, could it be other games?
Do you know what I think would be fucking sick is an anime. I think an anime would work so well with this particular game.
You're right, mate. You're right.
And I think it would work better than anything live action. And the reason
they've already got
that is
a Kamehameha spell.
Yeah. Dude, exactly. They've got so many. Dude, absolutely. I mean, you can probably level to over 9,000 in Elden Ring, and you could probably have some fucking stupid joke in there about that too. But I just feel like they could pull a lot more things off in anime. And do you know the best thing about anime is? If they do it in Japanese,
it's animated.
I don't know if the voice acting shit. So because it's all dubbed, and that just is perfect for me because. I tell you what, bad voice acting ruins things for me. Really bad.
Cap, if they made a series similar to the Dota 2 series, which was kind of like, I feel like that was like a westernized anime take on it. Is that a bad word for it? But it wasn't like, I don't feel like it was.
I kind of agree with that. I think there was definitely Western elements to that anime. Even some of the art, like the way they approached like drawing the characters, I think was a little bit Western, kind of more comic booky. But yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. What else do you think they might
put
out there, Grizz? Maybe they would do comics and stuff like
figurines,
manga.
Mate. Figurines, a Smash
Definitely
Brothers,
figurines.
A beat 'em up game.
Dude, I just want to see Elden Ring. Like, have you seen those memes of Bloodborne cart?
Yes, I have seen that, dude. Yeah.
Elden Ring cart, dude. Everyone's on fucking horses and you're just running around the lands between, dude.
I know that after this, we're going to come up with some really good ideas of what they're going to do with this IP, and we're not going to capture it in this podcast.
Dude, all right, here we go. This is what they're going to do.
Hit me with it.
Elden Ring themed style.
Streaming service.
Yes. Yeah. It'll be called The Land Betwitch.
Tarnished only, mate.
Look, I was going to say maybe a fast food restaurant, but I think that's nowhere near as good as that. But look, we'll leave that one there. Well, let us know on Twitter what you guys think that they're going to be coming up with. Hit us up with a freaking mention or some shit. I don't know how these social media platforms work. Just freaking tag us on something and tell us what you reckon. But yeah. Anyways, so yeah, look, I think we'll come back to the quick fire round stuff later on in the show. We have spent almost 50 minutes talking about just Elden Ring. Grizzly,
Wow.
we've done it again. Excellent. All right, moving along. We have okay. So there was another state of play recently, Grizzo, and they basically released a heap of new information on the new Hogwarts Legacy game. Now, if you're not aware of what this is, it is a Harry Potter themed kind of open world RPG set in the Harry Potter universe. The game takes place in, I believe, the 1800s. So it's kind of quite detached from the current happenings of what's happened in that universe. So the idea is you go to Hogwarts, you create your character, you do heaps of cool spells, and you can do battles and shit. And they have the whole, they basically show this big 15-minute long trailer, and one of the things they showed off was those classic Harry Potter battles where they have like the big energy beams, and the energy beams slowly going towards one person, then slowly going towards the other person, then so they've got those in there, so don't worry, they're going to have that as well. That you can go and chat to all your professors, you can make potions, you can have a house elf, I think, like a little Dobby. You fight trolls, dragons, all kinds of shit. So I tell you what, in a different time and place in my life, this would have been huge news for me. I remember playing a game that was kind of like the precursor to this game, Once Upon a Time, one of the earlier ones. I think it was on the PlayStation or something like that. But it was like a Hogwarts kind of RPG game.
It was
very
really
similar.
popular, Cap, wasn't it? The
PlayStation I can't even
release?
remember what. Yeah, the PlayStation one. God, it was really good. And it kind of gives me those vibes, like a next gen version of that kind of thing. But it looks like this game's going to be huge. Like you can obviously explore the open world around Hogwarts. You can go beyond the grounds into some of the main locations that are in that sort of general area. But I think it's going to be pretty good. What do you think from what you've seen, Grizzo?
So I had a look at the trailer, mate, and like Harry Potter has a special place in a lot of people's hearts, and I think it's like it's a very across a variety of things. And for me, the first thing I noticed in the trailer is that really classic, dark, brooding soundtrack, which just like that it's Harry Potter when you hear it. That you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Classic.
And the game itself, like the stuff that we've seen where they're in the dorm rooms and so I think you can join different houses in those dorm rooms, and they just look beautiful. So this is obviously going to be on next gen PC.
It looks really good, doesn't it?
The level of detail just looks really great. What you can see about the combat, Cap, so there's apparently different schools of spells, and there's combinations of spells for different scenarios, and then into that, there's an in-depth leveling system that you can see with talents and abilities and upgrades and experience and things like that. There's broom flight as well, which is pretty cool. So that kind of indicates that the open world nature of this world might be quite vast, being able to fly around, lateral movement and other bits and pieces. So I think I'm the same as you, Cap. I think in another time and place where I would be interested in Harry Potter, unfortunately, it's probably not something for me now. That I think it looks like a really good game release. And if you are interested, you should be excited about it.
Absolutely. I think even like the character creation stuff looks quite in depth. I think a cool thing, just from what I understand about the narrative, again, it's set in like the 1800s. So it's kind of detached enough from the storyline where they can kind of take it on their own kind of route and do what they want. So I believe the whole kind of plot hook is that you're a student at Hogwarts, and people are uncovering this ancient special magic that you need to try and figure out, and people are using it for all kinds of nefarious naughties and nasties.
What is kind of interesting to me, Cap, is when you're in that classroom environment, in the potions classroom, are the other people that are also in the classroom real players as well? Like, can you fuck around with
this is a solo player game. There's no multiplayer aspects at all, apparently, according to that came out today, actually. There will be absolutely no multiplayer aspects, completely solo, but also no microtransactions, which is great.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Which is good. But obviously, one of the big issues with this particular game is that J.K. Rowling, it is her intellectual property, and whether you like it or not, she obviously gets a cut of whatever this makes, I guess, at the end of the day, due to royalties and how that structure works. Now, J.K. Rowling, for those of you who aren't aware, is a huge transphobe, essentially, horrifically so. And the issue with that, obviously, is that you may not wish to support a game like this because of the affiliation there, and you may not wish to, I don't know, just support that intellectual property in general. Now, one thing to note is that the developers have revealed that J.K. Rowling's basically had nothing to do with this project in its entirety. The only thing that she has to do with is that she obviously gets a kickback. But I think one thing that I really want to kind of outline, I suppose, from my standpoint is just, I think, do what you feel is necessary to make you feel good about, what you're doing in general. If you want to play this game, you're not a bad guy, essentially. I think you can do enough in your day-to-day life to support trans people and other people who are downtrodden in general, without having to kind of, if you really love Harry Potter, just enjoy this game. There's a lot of people who have worked to develop this game and will suffer because they have someone like J.K. Rowling remotely involved in this project, and people basically just giving it the snub. So
100% agree with you there, Capo. So, in my mind and my take on it is, there's no doubt in my mind that J.K. Rowling is not a nice person, outwardly, victimizing people, trans folk, and we don't support that. I don't support that.
Absolutely.
However, there is a much broader picture to the whole argument, and I'll touch on the Blizzard fiasco when we went through all this sexual allegations and other bits and pieces of Blizzard, and you know what? Often the problem is one select group of people or a group of people in that. You've got to think of it as a broader picture. You've got employees, people with families and kids and other bits and pieces that are these devs as well. And there is other ways to show your distaste for this kind of stuff. If you want to support the game, go support the game. If it leaves a foul taste in your mouth, don't support the game. But I encourage everyone just to be informed on the subject and
absolutely
go and read
yourself.
about. Inform yourself. Go and read about the stuff that maybe J.K. Rowling has said, and we don't really want to talk about that on this podcast, but we do want to recognise that it's definitely something that happened and happens.
What you can do, I mean, you can obviously go and let your opinion be known on some of your social media platforms of choice, but you can also go and donate to some charities that help these people and reduce those stigmas. So. Look, ultimately, if you want to enjoy this game, enjoy it. Devs are some of the worst paid, technical expertises in the fucking world. They get absolutely shunted, mate. If you can, I know we've discussed this before on this podcast, but when you compare a software engineer to a game software engineer, you lose a lot of money just from that particular change. I think there's a lot of really talented people that have obviously worked on this. When you watch the trailer, I think you will definitely agree. But yeah, just do what your heart tells you, and don't shit on others for making a different choice to you. Everyone's just trying to do the best they can, I think, in general. But tell you one person who's not is fucking old mate Rowling. She's a fucking cunt.
Yeah,
anyways,
she's no good. Oh, that's the first C-bomb dropped on the podcast. Love it.
There you go. Episode 9. Lock that one in.
We are marked as a mature audience podcast, all right? So if you're not mature, then you can get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Talking to you, Pav, all right?
I feel like this warranted that word. Anyways,
Pat, are you going to play this game as a little last minute takeaway? Is this you going to look at this or?
Look, to be honest, probably not. I just can't see myself ever not playing Elden Ring. No, no. I think I honestly just don't think it's for me.
Yeah,
that's Harry Potter doesn't captivate me as much as it used to when I was younger. I just don't find the world as interesting anymore. And on top of that, I'm sure that they'll have because I mean the game's set in the 1800s, so theoretically, you're probably not going to see any of the characters from the newer from the Harry Potter books and stuff like that. So you won't see Dumbledore, I would presume.
Dumbledore.
No
Dumbledore.
And Harry Potter certainly won't fucking be in there because, yeah. So I don't know. I just can't see it really reaching out to me. So
expensive petroleum.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So yeah, look, ultimately, Grizz, I don't think so. What about you, mate?
Yeah. No, it's not up my wheelhouse, mate. Like, you know, I can already tell you right now, it's going to be the old, this is how you cast a spell, and this is how you use a potion.
Yeah.
And I just can't do it. Just can't do it, man.
No, you'd rather go and not build in Fortnite.
Is Pav going to play it? Pav, are you going to play this game?
No.
He's shaking his head no.
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, again, I would just like to point out that the game looks quite impressive just in general. Like, I think if you're a Harry Potter fan, you would be shitting your pants right now. But, yeah, look, yeah, not for me. But, yeah, go and check out the trailer. Go and check it out. And if you want to support it, support it. If you don't, freaking don't. And just make sure that you let people know that you don't support transphobic, because we don't either. All right. Moving along. Grizzo.
Moving along. Yes, sir.
Starfield. They released 8 seconds of fucking gameplay.
Dude, we get a fucking 15-minute Harry Potter gameplay, and they released 8 seconds of this shit.
And it's like it's the most nothing 8 seconds of gameplay. Now, for those listening at home, like, what the hell are you talking about? Bethesda, one of the biggest gaming studios probably in the world.
What do they make, Cap? Tell them what they make.
They make The Elder Scrolls. They make Fallout, and a bunch of other shit. So they're one of their biggest IPs. Now, they are working on a new IP called Starfield. Set in space. Apparently it's going to be kind of fairly close to our solar system, and I believe kind of close-ish to our time in history as well, but obviously in the future. Humanity's kind of making its way to the stars and meeting aliens and shit along the way. Now, they had a bit of a developer sit-down powwow YouTube video thing go out, and Todd Howard, one of the big game designer dev guys there, was having a bit of a chat. He's that one that everyone makes memes about for the Bethesda and Elder Scrolls stuff. But anyways, they released a bunch of screenshots, and they also released 8 seconds of what appears to be in-game engine. And it's basically this dark corridor with a light behind a robot, and the robot says something like, "Hello, sir, how can I help you?" or some shit like that. I can't remember what he says exactly, but it is the most nothing reveal of all time.
One thing, Cap, that caught my eye when it started, it says 25 years in the making.
Oh, really?
Is that like? Am I going fucking crazy?
Well, that must be the. I mean, how long? When did the first Elder Scrolls go? It must be like the
is it the studio?
Time the studio's been around.
Okay, yeah.
Surely they've not been working. I mean, I tell you what, it fucking feels like 25
years. It goes from the award-winning creators of Fallout 4 and Skyrim. 25 years in the making. That's what they had. Titles coming up.
Okay. Well, I think it's just like, because I mean, again, we've spoken about this before, Grizz. Like, it's so difficult to release a new IP and onboard people, like, and get people excited for things. Obviously, less so if you're a well-known developer, because, you know, look at Elden Ring. People are so fucking excited for that game. And I'm sure that Bethesda have a similar kind of place in people's hearts, even though I would say some of their more recent gaming iterations have been pretty fucking average. I'm going to say it right now. I thought Fallout 4 was fucking boring. Really boring.
Well, it's a fine line, Cap, because I think that a few companies may have learned that overhype can also be your downfall. So, you know, with the No Man's Sky and what was that other one? Cyberpunk, both got clamped.
Yeah. I would also think that, like, I guess even when you think about things like stock price, Grizz, like, I'm sure that there's plenty of data to suggest that just giving people little bits of information is enough to get the stock price moving and not have hype fuck itself.
Don't give them too much. Yeah.
You know?
Smart. Yeah, smart.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Bethesda have always been pretty good at that. I remember when there was going through the big stage of battle royales, and they were like, "Well, guess what? We're introducing a battle royale into Fallout 76.
That's
Here you
right.
go."
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely. And then that turned out to be an absolute schmozzle, which apparently is not too bad these days. And I actually tried to load up Fallout 76 probably about 6 months ago. And I was like, yeah, sweet. This looks great. Yeah, awesome. I'm really excited to do this. Logged into it, and I've got some unsolvable audio glitch that heaps of people are experiencing still. And I was just like, okay, I guess I'm not playing this fucking game. So fucking typical. But yeah, what do you think about what you've seen, Grizz? I mean, there's not much to really talk about, I suppose. But
I listened to the interview between whoever you mentioned, the people
Howard and the other guys,
and some of the stuff in there was quite interesting. So they talked about a very in-depth persuasion system, and it kind of the way they were talking about it, they were talking about that's kind of evolved from Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, and Skyrim and bits and pieces. And
can you remember the one from Oblivion, Grizz? Did you ever play Oblivion?
I did, yeah, but I the only memory I have of it, and I've said this a few times on the stream before, but jumping up on roofs when you've skilled your agility too high because
you're just thinking
jump.
of Morrowind.
Oh, Morrowind. Hang on. Oblivion. Is that? Hang on, wait. Is Oblivion where the guy falls out of the sky?
No, that's Morrowind.
Maybe
Oblivion's the one where they had like the you know when you put bloom on like pictures and stuff, and it kind of everything kind of looks like dreamy and kind of bloomy. That's that's Oblivion. That's the difference between. I would say the big difference between the two. I mean, obviously graphically different, but yeah, I remember. So Oblivion had like a chat wheel, and you could kind of like you could see these different little amounts in each part of the chat wheel, and each part of the chat wheel was like a different approach to persuading someone. So it might have been like flirt or give someone a compliment or be aggressive and stuff like that. So yeah, anyways, kind of got off track a little bit, but so they basically have distilled a lot of their persuasion and RPG mechanics into this new persuasion system for Starfield. Yeah,
that kind of excites me. I mean, just from the bits we've seen, it looks very open world, big expansive space exploration stuff. So,
which would kind of fit with their general MO of what they like to produce, right?
Well, what excites me is to have this in-depth persuasion system means there's going to be some kind of in-depth discussion.
Alien sex
scenes, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully very in-depth.
I'm going to persuade you to have sex with me right now, kind of conversations.
Hey, as long as it's consensual, that's what we fucking promote in this fucking podcast, pal, all right?
That's right.
But yeah, so look, it'll be interesting. I suppose we'll just wait and see what happens. Again, like I think we spoke about Starfield a little while back, but it's one of those games that just feels like Bethesda is just like, I swear it's coming. I swear, I'm telling you it's coming.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good do you reckon this game's going to be, Cap?
Dude, I reckon it's going to be shit. I actually reckon it's going to be garbo.
There's also a risk of overcooking things, man. If you leave stuff too long in the oven and technology...
it just goes through development hell and project bundling. You know, like, I mean, you know what it's like to work in a project team. Like, you spend too long on sometimes you just need to get shit done, I mean, obviously games take a while to create. That's a simple fact, especially a game this size. But I don't know, Grizz. I just don't know why they're making this game, in all honesty. I really fucking don't get it. I don't know why they've done Skyrim in space. I don't know. It just doesn't really make an awful lot of sense to me. I just wish they could just make Skyrim Elder Scrolls, what is it, 6 or 7, and just do it properly. Don't give me the same bullshit you did with Skyrim and give me the Ubisoft Skyrim. And this is another thing, Grizz, is that we spoke about it with Elden Ring. Like, Bethesda has done the same thing. Over time, they've made their games overly peppered with just like direction and everything else, and I really hope that they take the training wheels off a little bit with this next game or next games, and just respect the intelligence of their players and just let them figure things out, because that's the most fun in games a lot of the time for me, is like just trying things out.
Yeah,
and not being like, hey, have you tried doing a backflip and do this? And you're like, oh, well, I guess I can do that, rather than figuring out yourself and going, holy shit, how cool was that?
Now, it is also worthwhile saying, Cap, that this is going to be on Xbox and PC only, exclusive.
Xbox. Well, yeah, that makes sense because I mean Bethesda was bought by Microsoft.
So I believe that was part of that recent announcement as well. So
wow. So get Shrek'd, PS5 owners.
Yeah.
Sorry you had to hear about it here first on the OGR podcast. Yep, the groundbreaking news.
Well, I don't think anyone's excited for this game yet, Cap. They just haven't. And maybe this is strategic. Give them a little bit, keep them a little bit interested because they've got fuck all to show us. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else does Bethesda have in the works, like that they have spoken about?
Isn't there a new Elden Ring Elden Ring? Isn't there a new fucking? Well, you know the game I'm trying to say, right? Elder Scrolls coming out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. Like, but they've done the same thing. The only thing they've shown off is some like artist-generated like swooping panoramic view of like a camera going through this like expansive land, and it's like very underwhelming.
Ages ago? I feel like that was years ago.
It was ages ago. But do you know what the thing is, right? So I desperately hope that I'm not right, but I think I'm absolutely going to be fucking correct. We keep having these amazing open world games come out, and by the time these games come out, because they've been in development for so long, they are just not going to be up to scratch.
Oh yeah, dude, I can't remember the game, but the longer that you leave your game into, there's a big fucking risk, right? You need to get your game right and you need to develop it right, and it needs to have enough time in the oven to be perfectly baked. But if you overcook it, the technology is going to take over the game that you've just developed.
Yeah.
And it's going to end up looking like shit alongside everything else that's come out. It's a fucking risk, man. You got to, I don't know.
Dude, not to mention, like, you've got games like, like, just to give you some ideas, is like, you know, the Horizon series are really good open world games. You know, Breath of the Wild was one of the best open world games of all fucking time. Elden Ring's come out, apparently trumped it in terms of critic reviews. You know, how do you follow up to something like that? I'm betting like Bethesda's just going, holy shit, people just keep creating these games, and how do we ever create a decent Elder Scrolls ever again? You know what I mean? I just can't see it happening. Especially coexisting in a space, because it's not like it's an MMO RPG. Oh, maybe that's what they do, right? What they do.
They've already got a fucking MMO RPG, don't they?
They do another one, and they call it Elder Scrolls 7, and they say this is an open world game, but it's an MMO RPG as well. So now all of a sudden people don't start comparing it to things like Elden Ring and stuff because it's an MMO RPG. It's not just an RPG.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
that's what they do. You fucking heard it here first on the OGR podcast. If that comes to fruition, I want freaking people citationing me. All right.
Yeah,
that's probably what's going to happen.
Captain Perth 2022.
Yeah.
Boom.
All right. That's going to happen. All right. So, there you go. Starfield. Who knows when we'll find out more. Hang on. The release date's apparently November 11th, 2022. What? Really?
Oh, really? They've given a release date, have they?
Mate, you fucking wrote that down in the tracker.
Oh, did I? Oh, yeah. I fucking do my homework. There you go.
Oh, my freaking God. Okay, well...
let me just confirm that. I might have just been talking shit. I was very tired this morning. Release date?
I don't know about that one, Grizz. I reckon you might have just... I don't know. I don't know where you got that from. Mate, they've only shown 8 seconds.
Yeah, dude.
Not even
Starfield. Gameplay. 11th of November, 2022 is what it fucking says.
Get out of it. Serious. Holy
serious,
shit.
dude.
That blows my mind. Yeah. Dude, when does this Harry Potter game supposedly come out? When's that? That's
there's a release date somewhere there, isn't it?
I can't see it. I would assume.
Oh yes, summer holidays.
Summer holidays, which
US, is it?
That would have to be US. Whenever you hear like summer and stuff, it's never us, basically.
Hit the shelves holiday 2022.
Mid-year, I'm guessing, maybe. Is that what summer is for the US? I think. Because they've got it must be. Anyways, so they've shown 15 minutes and Starfield showed 8 seconds. Pretty cool. Yeah. Better pull your fucking finger out, ladies and gentlemen at Bethesda. Anyways, all right, moving along. We are seriously going over time here tonight. Sorry.
Biggest news ever, Cap, right here, mate.
This is actually kind of nuts. So I'm going to let you discuss this one, Grizz, because you love this game.
All right, mate. All right. Guys, one of the best games of all time, Fortnite. You might have heard of it. Epic Games exclusive. Their newest season is going to have no building. Basically, they've unofficially called it the Boomer Patch. It is for those that can't build, that want to get
The boomer
involved.
patch. Dude, I'm going to be legit with you right now. The reason I never like really enjoyed Fortnite, I actually hated Fortnite for like a lot of the times I played it, because the building was just stupid. It was dumb. Every time you played that game, it would just devolve into people building these huge towers as quickly as they could. It was just fucking stupid. It's the dumbest fucking mechanic of all time.
So the competitive game is 100% about building more than shooting. You get the high ground, you build up, you get the highest fucking tower, and you've got the high ground, and then you can just plink down at the nerds below you. So I reckon, dude, I will reinstall Fortnite 100%. 100%.
Oh, dude, I actually will as well. Not until I build my new PC, but I'm going to give it a crack, because I actually think the game's good. But Grizz, I was reading through the press release for this, so it looks like it's called Rebellion or something, is like the new season, and it's like they've got to rebel against the guys who took away building. So I assume building's going to be coming back. Yes. I believe.
Yes.
So it's just for a short time only. You can play the game and it not be shit.
Yeah, so just to make this clear, there are still modes where it has build. I think competitive mode and a few other bits and pieces still have building involved. The seasonal structure of this game is they release a battle pass, and then there's like a bunch of skins for a certain period of time, and you play basically the game mode that's happening at that time. So to give a bit of context to that, I can't remember, but the last one was around the release of a superhero movie, and they had like you'd find a certain weapon, and you could like fly around Spider-Man, and you could like Spider-Man yourself around, all different things. They do like quirky things to the game to try to like keep it kind
mix
of
it up
active
a little bit.
But the competitive nature, like if you want to play competitive ranked stuff, it's still exactly the same essentially. But
dude, you know what though? Like when it comes, like this is why I think like Fortnite will never be like well, I suppose it's a fairly reasonably accepted esport, right? Like I don't really know for sure, but I just don't feel like it will ever be on the same scale as like Dota or CSGO, because no one wants to go and watch people fucking build towers. Like they'll just go and watch fucking home renos with Scotty Cam on Channel 7 if they want to watch that shit.
Well, you know it has its market, right, Cap? Like it's made for put it this way. It is on every format. You can play it on Nintendo Switch, and you can play with people on PC. So it's marketed at kids that whatever they've got, they can go play Fortnite, and the dancing and like the way that the skins are all vibrant and everything else. It is made for probably a younger audience. But
yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Fortnite would have to have the biggest market share battle royale wise. I would think, right?
I would
especially with how many platforms it's on. You know, I would think that, and this is a thing like Jim in chat sort of is saying, for a short time you can play a game just like every other battle royale, which is a very good point. It was one of the main things that made this game unique, I guess, and it was, I mean, regardless of the fact whether I liked that unique property of it or not, it was, I guess, its identity for a lot of it. But I think Fortnite has enough just global draw that it can do whatever the hell it wants, really. And it is doing whatever the hell it wants, right? It's like doing literally freaking concerts inside the game and having like, you know, dude, like pop stars like Ariana Grande and shit doing like in-game freaking concerts. It's nuts. Like, you know, they do whatever the hell they want. People will still eat it up. People will probably. What do you think the general sentiment is going to be for this?
I honestly think that it's going to bring, because I know, like, this is a general sentiment with people our age and people with Fortnite, that building has ruined the game for us. Because you just can't win against someone that can build. Like, you know, they're going to build a wall in front of you and edit out the middle bit and shotgun pump you and then re-edit the wall back in front of you. And if you don't know how to like manage your builds, you're just going to get clamped. So I honestly think this is going to bring people like myself and maybe you, Cap, and a few others that have moved away from the game because you can't build. Because it is, I'll give it this. It is a real fun game with friends. Like I actually quite enjoy playing with friends. Couple of beers, jump in, and the rounds are quick and everything else, and it's lighthearted. Like even Warzone and that kind of thing has I'm not going to say a serious nature to it, but I quite like cartoony and, you know, that kind of stuff. So I think it might bring players like me who don't want to get dumpstered building back to the game to have a little tickle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm definitely going to pick it up again. And I honestly couldn't have said that if they still had building in this game.
Yeah.
So there you go. Now, one thing we did chuck a tweet out on the OGR Twitter, so you can follow us over at OGR Show. We just said the new season of Fortnite will feature no building. Does that make you want to reinstall it? Or we had a 57.1% yeah and a 42.9% nah.
So there you go, mate. So
there you go.
People are going to come back to play it.
Yeah, I mean that's 57.1% extra people. Well, I mean it's not really, but in a very small sample size, that's that many people who are going to come back to Fortnite that probably wouldn't have if this wasn't a thing. So
just me, Captain Pab voted, by the way.
Yeah. No, we had a few votes in there. We had about 14, which is pretty fucking good considering we only got 63 bloody followers, mate. Not bad. But also we shout out to Weapon XVX Casts, a good friend of ours. He said, I don't play Fortnite I probably never will, but dropping the only mechanic which makes the game interesting and unique seems ... bold.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people are probably mimicking in terms of their response to this news. But for me, I'm like, Fortnite, just delete it entirely. Just pretend like it never exists. Imagine that. Yeah. Imagine if they released the season. Actually, that'd be so funny. They're like, everyone logs in and like, what the fuck? I can't build. They're like, what are you talking about? They're like, where's the building? And they're like, what do you mean building? They're like, the building. You know how we used to build shit in the game? They're like, we've never had building in this game. Actually, that would be trippy. That would be sick, actually. That's how they should have done it. But they didn't. All right, so, Grizzo, we better wrap this shit up because we've gone way over time. I'm going to do the rest of the quick-fire news that we've got to go through. So, for those of you that enjoyed Inscription from last year, that was a deck-building sort of indie card game. Really freaking good. Interesting sort of film noir, bizarre, weird horror indie card thingy. Go and check it out. They've just released a new mod thing for it called Casey's Mod. They've added an endless mode for it and a bunch of new cards and just ways to make the game a bit more difficult.
So, Cap, is this a fan-made mod or is this
So it's called Casey's Mod, which I believe... So the whole story of the game is like you put one of those old VCR tapes in the TV and it's kind of like one of those choose your own adventure things, but obviously your card game thing. So I think the whole Casey's Mod thing is kind of like a modded version of the game, but that's what they're calling this update, if that makes sense. And it's kind of like in the storyline of all this kind of shit is like the game's been modded by someone. And that's kind of the story, if that makes sense. I don't think it does. Anyways, Grizz is not in his head. I don't fucking believe that he believes that at all.
I got distracted there, man. I was reading chat there for a second, but yes, whatever you said is correct.
Typical. All right, so moving along, if you like that, go and check it out. A new Zelda-like indie game called Tunic was released and receiving really good views. I'm going to be giving this a crack sometime this week if I find time. Dude. Yeah, dude, I think it looks really cool. So you basically play this little fox who runs around in this kind of like low poly art, bloomy kind of coolly illuminated world. It's obviously very heavily inspired by The Legend of Zelda. I'm going to read out a quick one here from Game Informer. Tunic brilliantly captures the feeling of that special childhood title that made you fall in love with video games. 9.8 out of 10. So there you go. I think the review
are real high.
Yeah, it is really high.
If you are a content creator, applications on Keymail have just opened up as well. If you want to apply for a creator key.
It's also on Xbox Game Pass, Grizzo. So
is it really,
if you've got Game Pass, you get Tunic for free, baby. Well, you pay for the Game Pass, but yeah. So also another one from IGN. Tunic is an unapologetically challenging action-adventure game that is charming, multi-layered, and immensely rewarding to solve. Tell you what, the only thing that I don't like about this game is that it isn't on Nintendo Switch, because this is the perfect Nintendo Switch game.
It looks like a Switch game, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the fact I'm going to have to play it on my PC kind of makes me sad, because some games like this, I just want to lie in bed and play, but oh man, you can't have everything in life, right? I'm also not willing to wait as long as I did to play Death's Door for this game because I waited for Death's Door to come out on Switch, which was kind of a similar-ish looking kind of game. That was that little crow you run around with, and it's kind of got the same kind of Zelda-like feel. But yeah, anyways, go and check it out if you're interested. It's available on the Xbox Game Pass. And yeah. Now, final little quick fire round news item. The Halo TV series first impressions are releasing. It might actually be live by now, perhaps by the time this podcast goes live. You might be able to see the first episode. I believe it's streaming on Amazon Prime. Someone in chat might be able to correct me on that one.
Already, Cap. Far out.
Yeah. And so just some of the critique stuff that I watched, people were actually pretty impressed with it. They said the story is actually not too bad. They said the CGI is, passable.
Do you see his face straight away, Cap?
Apparently you see his face a lot in this first episode. Okay. So one interesting thing is that I believe this TV show kind of deviates from the main storyline of the Halo games a little bit. So it's kind of more so using it just as fuel. Yep, Retro Swim saying Halo TV thing is on Paramount Plus, which I think is you get through Amazon Prime somehow or some shit. It's really weird how it's structured. It's like inside my Amazon Prime app for Australia, I can see Paramount Plus inside it, which... dude, it's like putting freaking Stan inside Netflix. It's like, dude, just fucking be the same thing, you idiots. What's wrong with you? Anyways, yeah. So have a check out of that if you like the sound of that. If you like the sound of seeing Master Chief's face, apparently the actor does a pretty decent job of portraying him because obviously normally Master Chief is just kind of like the stoic kind of not saying an awful lot guy, like
two line dialogue, right?
It'll be like, the Warthog's tires fucking go out and Cortana's like, oh no, Chief, we don't have any tires. And he'd be like, I guess we need some more. That's it. And then you're like onto a quest to go and find some fucking tires. But yeah, so anyways, go and check that out if you have access to it and it's out by the time of this recording. If not, you're going to have to wait. Sorry. But yeah, Grizzo, that basically wraps up the podcast for this week. Everyone listening in on the podcast, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you. I believe we're coming close to the 300 listens mark, which is nutty.
Also, Cap, we received our first Patreon.
We did indeed. So a huge thank you to Amasukai, a good friend of ours. Thank you for supporting this podcast. If you would like to do the same and help us pay the bills that we have for getting this podcast out into the airwaves, you can do so by going onto Patreon and searching up Oceanic Gaming Radio. You can do the same on Twitter. You can do the same on Twitch. You can do the same on Google, probably. I'm sure that there's going to be some Google entries for us. If you're in the Twitch chat right now and watching along as we record this live on a Monday night, Australian Western Standard Time, we start recording generally at about 7 p.m. West Aussie time. And we also have a Discord now. So you can probably find that on the Twitter would be the best way to find it if you're listening back at home. We have a link tree. Go and check out our Twitter and then navigate to it from there. But I think that about wraps everything up. Grizzly, you got any final closing comments, mate?
Nothing else from me. I just want to thank you all for continually tuning in, saying g'day, hanging out, chatting in the chat. I am genuinely, this is one of my favorite content creation avenues that I've ever done, and I'm really bloody enjoying it. So thank you.
It's been a banger. Closing comments from me are fuck you, J.K. Rowling, and we stand with Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Kazi. G'day, mate.
G'day, legends. How the freak's it going? Retro, you freaking ripper. How you going, mate? Good to see
you.
So
what is this? C-bombs. This is the title. C-bombs for J.K. Rowling, surely.
Yeah. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, I love
Couldn't,
it.
Yes,
couldn't
it
stop
did.
myself.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Um,
G'day, Red Trader. How are you, brother?
Now, Sergeant Paul, how you going, mate? Good to see ya. And Red, you freaking legend. Who else we got in here? Jimbo. Snapple. G'day, you sexy thing.
Paul as well.
The old
Fuck,
Paul.
loads
Paulini.
of legends in here.
Hohen Honey. Dorsch. G'day, Dorsch. Ronan Aussie. Good to see you, mate. Oh, we had heaps of people in here tonight. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Hyena.
We had a huge turnout for the stream tonight. It's been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's
Thanks so much for
cracking?
hanging out, guys.
Jim, I
Hope
don't
you
know
guys
if you
have been
heard.
enjoying.
I don't know if you heard, mate. I'm in isolation, mate. I'm fucking in isolation. Isolated.
Yeah, we're sick of him. So we said,
Yep.
mate, go and there.
Go and isolate.
Go and isolate. And don't you come back here, pal.
Is that the
you'd be
title?
right, mate.
Is that the title?
Make
we're
sure you
sitting
keep
on?
the floors up.
What
was the title?
Is that the title we're sitting on? C-bombs for J.K. Rowling. Do we have any other suggestions?
Any other any title suggestions? What do we cover? We covered Elden Ring patch, Hogwarts, State of Play, J.K. Rowling is a transphobe, Starfield, and Epic. We should build in something about Epic, the Fortnite no building. Boomers back on Fortnite, surely.
How about we just call it yet another Elden Ring roundup?
Dude, we spent like 55 minutes talking about
I know
Elden Ring
again.
Whoops.
Again.
Oh
well. We're renaming We're renaming the podcast. It's an Elden Ring podcast.
Look, it'll eventually die off.
One day,
Eventually.
next year, after 50 episodes.
Any suggestions? Dr. Disrespected
Again.
Part 2.
That would be the craziest clickbait.
What about this?
Don't even talk about him.
Boomers rolling into Fortnite. We don't want rolling in the title.
You know what? I actually that's what I was going to say. I don't want to give her any of my very small amount of advertising that I can offer. I think something about building. I think building. What do we got? What do we got, chat?
Boomers build a C-bomb.
Boomers in my fork knife.
Boomers in my fork knife. Oh my god.
I kind of like that.
Yep. Can we build Elden Ring somehow into that? Elden Ring. Boomers in my fork knife. We've already used Elden Ring before.
Ring a ding a ling ding dong. Frick. Oh my god, dude, this is too difficult. My brain's like slowly turned to mush today.
I haven't eaten yet, man. I'm fucking gonna go eat a spaghetti meatballs.
Oh yeah, that'll do for a title. Spaghetti and meatballs.
I'm gonna go with some spaghetti and the meatballs. It's a tasty meatball.
Boomers return to Fortnite.
Yeah, I think we'll let's just go with that.
Good. Boomers return to Fortnite. Yep. Bang.
Yeah, that'll do.
Pretty beautiful.
Did you get the timestamps, Pava?
Yep, got the timestamps. You guys fucked me with the timestamps.
Did we? Yeah, we did.
2 quick fire rounds.
Yeah, sorry.
Double quickfire.
Well, to be honest, I just thought, fuck it, we may as well just get all the Elden Ring shit out the road because we were talking about it for so long.
Absolutely.
Maybe we don't treat those as quickfire. Those Elden Ring ones.
Yeah, I do wear Birkenstocks. I fucking love my Birkenstocks, man. They're so fucking comfortable, dude.
I don't wear fucking Birkenstocks, mate. No. I give Mrs. a hard time about wearing Birkenstocks.
I fucking love mine, dude.
I
The only problem is they
standard.
get fucking a bit pongy. You gotta make sure you clean them.
I thought the Birks looked really gross, but then I tried a pair and I was like, okay.
Dude, you know what? All right, so I'm going to say this right now. I've been wearing Birks for way longer than they've been fashionable because I had like
Can I stop you there for 1 second?
No.
Birkenstocks are not fucking fashionable, mate.
Yes, they are.
They have come around. Absolutely, they have.
They absolutely are. Yeah.
Okay,
See,
sorry,
this is you've literally proven that you are a boomer, Grizz, just with that one comment. Anyways, so I was wearing them way before that, and I was wearing them for health reasons because I needed arch support. And Mia used to tease the shit out of me about it, and I was like, "Well, I have to wear them." And then slowly it came into fashion.
I thought it was. I 100% thought it was the other way around. I thought Mia was wearing them.
Have you guys seen my? Have you guys seen my shoey emote yet, Kat?
Oh, it came through.
Oh, that's it's so good.
That
was on Pav's channel. That one.
That was.
Now, Pav, what do we need to get together for the episode, mate?
I'm good to go. It'll be up and scheduled within the hour. Okay, maybe not within the hour, but
hey, curious, who from chat is listening to them on Spotify? Is anyone in here listening to them?
Do you listen to it on Spotify, guys?
Curious to know. Well, because it's good. The analytics are good. We're getting about 30 to 40 listens per episode at the moment.
Yeah, which is great.
Which is freaking excellent, considering we're bringing them out weekly as well, boys. That's pretty good.
Dude, I'm absolutely. And I mean, we super freaking appreciate all you guys supporting us by listening in here and hanging out and chat. It really helps. So yeah, look, if I could kiss you on the lips, I would. I absolutely would.
Hey, where are we guiding the raid tonight, boys? Where are we going?
We can chuck everyone on to Stormy.
Yep,
Stormy's on.
We haven't done the Stormy raid.
Yeah, fucking oath I do, Red.
Do you wear socks with it, Cap? With your...
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
Unless it's cold. Sometimes I do. In winter, I might. Yeah. Yeah, what?
Go on, then.
Mate, the Zimmer frame you can stick your backpack on, mate. Now there's thinking.
Socks and sandals, baby. It's like fucking jeans and joggers. Nothing worse than jeans and joggers, mate.
Jeans and joggers. I don't think I've ever worn jeans and joggers before.
No,
but yeah, all right. Well, let's go and drop everyone onto Stormy Streams. Here's the link for everyone in chat if you want to go and avoid the ads before we hit this big old raid. Are we good to go, guys? Can I start the raid up?
Oh, you do it?
Absolutely, Matt.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, raid incoming.
Thanks for hanging, you legends.
You drop her a follow. We'd appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Make sure you get into the Discord. Did we share the Discord thing?
We did. Yeah, have another one. Oh, that's
all right. Yeah, have another one. If you're not in the Discord, get your freaking anuses in there. All right.
Get in the Discord. Yeah. Do it.
I said yeah. Up ahead. It's literally just. Oh, Paul's in here. Shit, yeah. I was like, it's just like us three in here.
It's Paul in the. Oh, quick, give him fucking VIP. First person in the Discord. Get him.
Hell yeah, let's go. Appreciate it, Paul, you legend. But yeah, guys, please go and drop Stormy a follow. She's really awesome. She's a WA lass. She's just a fucking legend. So go and check it out. We will be back next Monday, 7 p.m. AWST. If you didn't see all of the podcast, go and download it and at your favorite podcast platform podcast. And yeah, we'll chat to you later. Recently joined the Goa team too. That's right, absolutely. So make sure you go and freaking check out some wonderful freaking peeps. But yeah, guys, we'll catch you soon. Love, peace, and all the rest.